Welcome back. A protest against President Donald Trump got a bit heated over the weekend. Protesters clashed with Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputies, and it all happened outside the Four Seasons Hotel on Palm Beach, where the president was at a Republican National Committee event. Joining us now, Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw to talk more about what happened over the weekend. Sheriff, thank you so much for joining us. So this isn't the first time, obviously, that protesters have been on the island, but this one seemed to escalate a bit more quickly. How did things wind up so intense?
Well, first of all, the idea here and the goal is to allow people to peacefully protest without infringing on the general public and causing a problem. And that's what was transpiring to start with. You had about 30 people across the road. They had their signs. Not a big deal. Then about 15 agitators came in, and they had the sirens, the drums, the bullhorns, and convinced those people to come over and block the entrance to the hotel. That's where it became a problem, because we're not going to allow people to infringe on the general public, stop traffic, get into the security zone to where the president's going to come. So after asking them to leave in a peaceful manner, they decided they're not going to do that. That's when we moved our field force in and physically removed them. Now, the difference is this. The people that were there originally, they got the picture, they understood what to do. The agitators that came in, secondly, they were looking to cause a problem. And if you go back and look at the two people that we took into custody, one of them has been involved in doing this before. They were the people that laid down across Southern Boulevard and chained themselves together. So this is what they like to do. We're not going to allow this to get out of hand. You've seen other places where cars get burned, windows get smashed, people get out of control. We are not going to allow that to happen. At the first sign that this is going to take place, we're going to take decisive action and we're going to shut it down.
And the people that were apprehended, specifically that one protester, what was he arrested and charged with?
Well, it's a criminal traffic violation of obstructing the traffic of the public. And that's the thing here. We want people to exercise their First Amendment rights, protest, hold the signs up, but we're not going to allow you to infringe yourself and take away the rights of the general public to drive on the roadways, go to the hotel, and express their concerns by going to those events.
You refer to them as agitators. Do you know if these people were local or did they come from out of town?
Well, they have some local addresses, but we haven't seen them before at any of these things. And even the reporters that were there, from your agency, said, everything was peaceful until this real select group of about 15 people showed up, and that's when it started to get out of hand and they decided they're going to block the driveway, which is not going to happen.
Now, there's been criticism across the country, really, that when law enforcement tends to show up in riot gear, protests seem to escalate. What do you say to that criticism?
Well, we didn't show up until they started the problem, all right? But we're not going to show up unprepared. That's how these things get out of hand. If you look at the other incidents around the country, it was too soft an approach. It's just like when you fight warfare. If you show force more times than not, you're not going to have a fight. We don't want to have a fight. So by having the proper equipment there, having the proper manpower there, and being able to stabilize the situation, we did not let it get out of hand. So we're fully prepared. We keep our assets in another area out of sight and let the uniform officers handle the situation. But when it gets to the point that the protesters are going to infringe on the general public and escalate the situation, we're going to take decisive action, have the necessary resources available, and we are not going to let it get out of hand.
What do you tell your deputies when they go out to respond to these situations, specifically the protest? What do you recommend? How do you recommend they handle the protesters?
Well, they're trained. That's what these deputies do. They're what they call a field force. And they're trained to not escalate. They're trained to be very courteous. They're trained to be very professional. They will not use any more force than is necessary. They will not injure anybody unnecessarily, but they are trained to de-escalate that situation and move the crowd back in an orderly fashion. And if we have to take somebody into custody, we'll do it with minimal amount of force and put those people in a separate area.
Speaking of force, what type of weapons are they armed with, aside from heavy weaponry?
Well, we have the ability, and I'm not going to discuss the operational part of it, but we have the ability to disperse crowds with chemical agents and non-lethal force that's available to us, and we have plenty of those types of equipment, so the crowd can be dispersed without serious injuries to anybody.
And finally, obviously this will not be President Trump's last visit to
Probably not.
Mar-a-Lago. So in the future, what do you tell these protesters and who you call agitators?
Yeah, and the message is, you know, we want you to have a safe space. We want the protesters there to be safe and get their message out. We fully understand that. We provide them safe areas like they were across the street. But if outside agitators are going to come in and they think that they're going to disrupt the general flow of the public and infringe upon the rights of the general public, that's not going to happen. So don't even try it, because the end results are you're going to be removed from that situation.
All right, Sheriff Bradshaw, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We
My
appreciate your
pleasure.
time.
Thank you.